Alright, we're back again, and oh man, they got the Scizor line, and they are strong. However, I definitely I don't know how to phrase it, but they're not OP, obviously, but they are great, and I kind of took extra care to make sure that they aren't OP, and that also that all three forms are pretty equal in terms of how like how much you want to use them, if that makes sense. And for that reason, I made it so Scyther. I mean, Scyther is definitely just as good as Scizor, and you could argue Scyther has uses over Mega Scizor, which is pretty crazy. Um, and I would personally recommend keeping Scyther as long as possible, only because you can go back. You can go forwards, you can't go back. Uh, this is very unrelated, but there's a specific Pokemon I have in mind that actually will be able to cross evolve multiple times, and it's going to be Porygon. I'm going to have it so Porygon 2 and Porygon Z can evolve into each other. Like they can be basically you can evolve Porygon 2 into Porygon Z, and then Porygon Z can revert back to Porygon 2 with like a special patch item or whatever. If it works, I'm gonna have to test it, but I think it should work, and that's a really cool idea I have. And it was just gonna be super defensive and still strong, and it was gonna be super offensive, and really cool shit. But that being said, this is another case, like have many other cases, where a violate is intended, or at the very least, it is encouraged, or the Pokemon is built with a violate in mind, like Lickitung and Rhyhorn and Rhydon and Chansey and Tangela, and there's been a lot of those recently, Exegedra. A lot of them recently, which is just coincidence, to be honest. Because there aren't that many of these mons, but there's a good amount. And these guys are great with a Violite. I mean, Scyther is super strong now. I don't exactly know where to start precisely, so I think I'm just going to address a bunch of really odd things that might strike. I'm going to address a bunch of things that jump out to people first, and then I'll talk about the nitty-gritty of everything. So things that would jump out to the average person. Probably number one thing would be Scizor nerf? Question mark? Oh, -5 attack? Oh my god, he nerfed Scizor? Scizor's nerfed? I'm kidding. I love making up fake arguments in my head because hopefully nobody's actually looking at this and thinking that, judging by the other boosts it's given, even without even knowing what any of the moves do or any of the abilities do, literally just looking at it and seeing the defense and speed boost is enough to be like, yeah, 5 attack is a totally fair and trade for that. If anything, that's not even a trade, it's still a huge gain. And the reason I have to drop attack is for two reasons. Number one, base stat total reasons. I wanted to keep Scyther and Scizor with the same attack stat. That is loud. I wanted to keep them with the same attack stat. That's number one. And number two is there too. So Technician is as strong as always, but sorry, Technician is much stronger than usual. God, English. Technician is much stronger than before. Is my point. And Ruthless is an extremely powerful ability that I will get into quickly, and I'll cover more in depth later. But first, I'll just say that the sheer power boost from all of the new Technician boosted moves, and then the sheer power of Ruthless, makes it so the -5 in attack was literally necessary, even with the giant power creep and the hack and everything. I also wanted to make sure that Mega Scizor wasn't outclassed by Base Scizor, and I ensured that by, hold on, I am a bit ahead of my, where am I? Here it is. So yeah, Ruthless, you got all these great moves, 50% crit moves. I have to be pretty careful with that. So yeah, that is a big deal for Scizor, the huge speed boost, huge defense boost, and then two great new abilities. It's more than worth it. And then Mega Scizor has a big attack boost. It's overall just much better. Because previously, I don't think Mega Scizor was actually worse in game purely. I forget why. I think it was the speed. Yeah, I believe in competitive, the speed boost made it so Mega Scizor is still, better, even though like CB Scizor still saw a lot of use and stuff. CB U-turn and bullet punch and shit. And also the big bulk increase is huge too. So a lot of bulk and then a lot of significant speed boost. Speaking of, I guess another thing that might jump out at people is Scyther with speed boost, because they're either be thinking, no, it's overpowered, or they'll be thinking, doesn't Ninjask count the speed boost? And that the second one is totally valid. I mean, both of those are totally valid. I just stop being condescending. Hopefully I don't turn people off. But yeah, so speed boost is no longer on Ninjask because Ninjask has base 160 plus. I don't know exactly, but it's definitely going to be at least 150 to 160. It's going to be top 5 fastest ones in the hack, probably the second fastest next to Deoxys speed, most likely. Yeah. I can't do anything else that would be faster. Rotom would be up there too. But anyways, unboosted, of course, with no abilities or boosts. And with that being said, it doesn't need speed boost in that case. If it has 160 speed, it keeps, let's say it keeps its original speed stat. It does not need speed boost. It does not need it. It is redundant. It's great and competitive because speed boost is not given to a lot of things, but in game and with all of these other speed boost mons, it would be not that great. It needs power boosting abilities because there's no way in hell I can make its attack stat higher than like 98 or 97 or something like that. And so what they're gonna have, I mean, I don't have to give you too many details, but Ninjask will have 2 abilities that are better for it. So Scyther is now the bug flying type speed boost mon, and I actually took extra care. I actually planned out pretty much all of the, well, I definitely planned out all the physical bug flying types, which are Ninjask and Scyther and Mega Pinsir. Fun fact: the reason I'm mentioning this is because I wanted to give base Scyther Air Light, but I'm actually much happier with this. I'm actually much happier with the way this turned out. Speed Boost is much cooler and more fun, and Air Light on Mega Pinsir is obviously a given and actually a necessary because Pinsir doesn't make any sense to have like fucking dual wing beam or anything. Maybe acrobatics, and that's like generous, honestly. So yeah, a lot of cool shit on them. I don't really know where to start, but what I will say is, I guess I'll explain the logic of the abilities. So Intimidate, well, Tough Claws is obvious. I don't think anybody's gonna question that. Technician was already there, obviously, and it's great, and I'll cover that in a second. Ruthless fits pretty well. I don't think anybody's gonna question that either. Intimidate, most people won't question it, but in case you are, it swings its eye patterned, pincers to scare foes. There's one that literally says they intimidate somewhere. Yeah, here we go. It intimidates its foes using its eye pattern. So basically, they look, a lot of animals do this in real life. Actually, they have like fake eyes on their body. Scizor has fake eyes on their claws. Really cool detail there. And so intimidate makes sense, I think, especially on Mega, just because of how the design is and stuff, and also because like I actually wanted to give Ruthless to Mega Scizor, but that's not good on Mega Scizor because it's inconsistent because you can't run Sculpt Lens, and so you'd be basically just playing 50-50 every time, and that's not fun. That's not really skill based in my opinion. That would just be stupid to just do fucking 158 base power half the time and the other half the time do 70. Like that's really lame. And so I just gave Mega Scizor Intimidate, which is also good because it gives it a lot of defensive utility, and it really encourages use of Mega Scizor just with Intimidate alone. And then otherwise you have Tough Claws and the 165 speed. So you got great. I mean, this Bug Steel's great typing. That's another thing I need to mention. So I planned out the Bug Flying types to make sure there's no overlap and that there's no outclassing there. And I also planned out the Bug Steels to make sure there's no outclassing and overlapping. The Bug Steels are Fortress, which will most likely have like Rapid Fire and Skill Link or Sturdy or something, and it's gonna be mixed and bulky. What is the other ones? Genesect is, I'm not worried about Genesect overlapping. It's later and it's much faster and it's, the abilities will not overlap. Probably have like Tinted Lens and maybe versatility. I don't know. So that's one thing. And then I think versatility is cool just with like Technoblast and shit. But Mega Launch will really cool, but nothing works really with it. It doesn't have any stab moves. What was I saying? Jesus. Oh yeah, Escavalier will be Levitate and Unburden, and then it will have a usable speed stat with Unburden, become super quick. Yeah, I don't need to give you those details, but point is, I thought about all the Bug Steals. Don't worry. Durant is Hustle and Strong Draw easily, and Scizor I think is technically the slowest offense. It's the slowest one that's supposed to be fast because Escavalier is only fast with Unburden and it can run Scarf, and then Fortress is obviously has Rapid Fire, and otherwise it doesn't need to be fast. Although it will have a usable speed stat because it can spin around and has Rapid Spin and Shell Smash and shit, which is gonna be really fun. But yeah, I believe that's it for like the logic of the abilities. Weird moves that might stand out to people and be like, why does it get that? Crab Hammer. The animation for Crab Hammer in Gen 7 is literally just like, it looks exactly like King W's Claw, I'm not gonna lie, so I considered making a signature move, but I mean, the other fucking Crustacean Mons already got it, and so I was like, you know what, let me just apply that logic to any Mon that has similar shaped claws or pincers. So, like, Parasect, Scizor has a very similar shaped claw to the Crab Hammer animation. Some others as well, like possibly Gliscor, possibly Drapion, Armaldo, ones like that. There's a bunch more, but I'm blanking right now. It doesn't matter right now. But point being, dude, I'm not gonna deny, like, dude, if people, here's what I need to say: if you're going into this with like a competitive mindset, it's not gonna work because literally 80 to 90% of these changes would be absolutely ridiculous and competitive. But this is in game, and so nothing ever switches out. And if all your options are strong, then having strong options is not really a big deal. And then having like I don't know, like this would be hell in competitive because then you could just check everything. Like nothing would have counters because you could just there's Z moves and there's powerful moves that oh god, nothing would be able to switch into anything, and that would be fucking hell. It would be so. I mean, I would hate it. Nobody would want to play that, but this is not. I mean, maybe for the sheer fun of it and the ridiculousness of it, but nobody would actually play that competitively. God, it would be so chaotic. But my point is, I don't want people like, oh, well, with Scizor, yeah, Scizor, obviously, yeah, if Scizor had Crabhammer, if Scizor had Crabhammer in real games and close combat, actually, close combat wouldn't be overpowered. That would just be better than Superpower, in my opinion. It should get close combat. That's like something I would actually suggest for real games. You know, Thunder Punch and Ice Punch and all that, you know, smacks fucking Lando and fucking Crabhammer shits on Heatran or whatever, you know, like, you know, I'm not actually suggesting this just practically. I'm just as a ROM hack. You know, you're gonna get a little fun with it. And giving within coverage is not really a big deal because, I mean, you can just switch on your TMs anyways and counters team everything in front of you anyways, so who cares? And 4 move slot syndrome is a big deal. So that being said, I can get into the nitty gritty of stuff. So I think what I'll do is cover Scyther first, and then I'll cover Scizor's in detail. So Scyther, 125 attack, Violate viable, meaning it. This is another optional evolution, like I said. And like I said, I would also recommend keeping Scyther as long as you possibly would want to. Because you don't want to evolve it too early and then be like, fuck, the Scyther would have been so much better in this situation because of the speed or whatever, speed boost, baton pad, whatever you want, you know? So Scyther is fucking great, dude. Like, on its own, I also love Scyther. I love all of them, but Scyther especially is my favorite of the 3, personally. I just really like... Dude, the global art... can't speak. The global link art does this thing no justice. It looks awful, in my opinion. Scyther itself is fucking dope, though. So tech, let's hear. Okay, I'll cover piece by piece. So I will cover speed boost first because Technician I think is pretty self-explanatory, although there is a lot of Technician buffs for both of them. Yeah, so actually I'm going to cover Scyther, speed boost, then I'll cover Scyther Technician, then I'll use that to just transition into Scizor's Technician, and then I'll talk about Ruthless, and then I'll talk about all the other stuff. So that's a good transition. So starting the speed boost, you already have base 135 speed. If you have 135 speed with a neutral nature and 0 speed investment, you still hit 459 speed after 1 singular turn of speed boost. So that's that. You are still outspeeding like everything. So you actually shouldn't be running speed on speed with Scyther at all. And the beauty is, people Scyther can run a Violite, and base Scyther with a Violite is already bulky because 80 defense with the Violite. Let me put that in this and then put it at max. Max is out at like what? If with 0 investment, you get 322 defense, which is like about if you that's about uninvested base 80 defense with the Violite is about base 100 defense with max investment, I believe. Let me check. Yep, very close. About 90 something base defense with max investment, which is a big difference, obviously. That's with 0 investment. With max investment and 80 base defense, you are hitting 426 defense. So you're tanking physical hits. You have a huge physical bulk. And the thing is, you can run max physical defense on your Scyther with infinite ability capsules. You can swap between your abilities with infinite EV training items. You can just instantly train your Mon for whatever the hell's in front of you, and adapt to the situation, and that's great. And the beauty of that with Scyther is you can just throw on max defense, throw on max attack, or throw on max HP and max attack, or whatever combination of that. But you don't need to run speed. Is my point with speed with Scyther at all. Look, I'll literally give you guys an example. 0 speed IVs with 0 investment still hits 453 speed. It still hits 452 speed. And if I give, sorry, that's with the Jolly nature. Neutral nature, 412 speed. That's still incredibly fast. I'll give you guys an even more exaggerated hypothetical. Let's put a minus speed nature, wherever the first one I can see is, sassy. 370 speed, dude. That's after 1 turn. With 0 speed investment, 0 speed IVs, and a minus speed nature, you're still hitting 370 speed after a speed boost, so you do not need speed investment pretty much ever on Scyther. And obviously, if you do, then just throw on like 20 fucking EVs and you'll probably speed creep whatever the hell you need to outspeed that happens to be faster, because there are some fast mounts. You can always just adapt your EV spread. But in most cases, you're going to be running no investment, which means with speed boost, of course, and therefore you can just abuse the shit out of your bulk with a Violite, and you can abuse the shit out of your max attack, and just go to town. So a lot of really good things with speed boost, besides giving you immense freedom with your EV spread. It also allows you to just run bulky sets. So you can run like Skitter Smack to drop their stats. With that, you can run, I don't know. There's a lot of obvious ones that I want to wait a little bit to get to those ones. You can run Baton Pass sets. That's a big one. That's huge. Speed Boost Baton Pass is huge. Despite how I didn't nerf Baton Pass per se, but I made it so speed passing is much harder and less free and automatic, because it would be free and automatic otherwise, because some things get agility and pass, and it would just be so toxic to just speed past everything in game, because the AI doesn't really have a way of stopping it outside of taunt and other stuff, and phasing and whatnot. But the point is, speed passing is a little bit overpowered. And so I wanted to give that a little bit of a, it's still very viable, especially on bulkier mons. Like in Scyther's case, the minus priority for speed pass is not really a big deal. You get your protect off, you got your roost for healing, you got your baton pass, you've got a good bulk, so you don't really have to worry about taking that hit. In most cases, obviously, yes, it's gonna be a nerf. That's the point. It is ultimately a nerf to speed pass, but for other mons, it's actually really cool. It doesn't affect Scyther, but for slow mons, basically, I wanted a teleport replacement. How in Gen 8, like people can teleport around and scout from moves. Although everything has a switch move anyways, everything has either parting shot, U-turn, or volt switch anyways for the most part. It's still nice to have the nice priority on a lot of mons, so that's why I decided to do that. So Baton Pass isn't as overpowered as it would be otherwise, but it's still really great. Don't get it twisted. So you got that. You can Baton Pass False Strike boosts, which also works Technician, but I'll get into that in a second. You can Baton Pass Home Claws. You can Baton Pass Agility, obviously early game. Well, actually, no, you don't get Baton Pass till later, sorry. But you can Baton Pass Speed Boost with Swords Dance. That's huge. Super huge. I mean, massive, actually. And you can also Baton Pass Bulk Ups. So those are a lot of great boosts you can Baton Pass around. And also, Speed Boost Scyther with max defense, or let's say you're running max HP, max attack, Scyther. Or you could even run, what you really could do is a Violite Scyther, max HP, max Bedef. I mean, max Bedef is hits let's put nature here. That hits 293. So that's a really good defense Bedef stat. I believe that's about 130 something. Yeah, 130, 129, dude. That's really bulky. You're taking special hits. You got good HP with max investment, and then you can just bulk up, boost a bunch. You can sit there and bulk up on something's face with speed boost and and just not live everything. Obviously, yeah, your typing's holding you back a little bit, but that's kind of the point. Because if it had any other typing, like let's say I made a Bug Dragon, which I actually considered for like 0.2 seconds until I realized that's stupid. It would be kind of cool though. I'm not gonna lie, that would be pretty fucking sick. That would be pretty fucking sick. I didn't really consider it too seriously, but that would be pretty dope with like Dragon Ball Ruthless, and I could give them both Ruthless. But that would be fucking cool. Am I gonna do that? Nah, man, that's kind of cursed. I feel like it's no, it's cool, but it's comment down below what you think of that. I think it's a reach, but it's also cool. But anyways, either way, I'm probably gonna leave it this way. If not, then I would just make another video for Scyther alone, and cover the dragon type. But I don't think it's gonna be a thing. So yeah, you have great stuff with Speed Boost there. Again, like the setup stuff, you can run bulky sets with setup. Speed Boost is invaluable. Technician is also invaluable. Technician is extremely powerful on both of them, so I will cover Scyther's specific options, and then I'll cover general Technician options, and then I'll cover Scizor's Technician options. So, starting with Scyther specific, nothing is technically Scyther specific in the sense that only Scyther gets it, but it's Scyther specific in the sense that only Scyther abuses it to a good extent. Not that it's bad, because all of the Scyther specific stuff is literally just flying moves. Is the only thing I talk about is flying moves, and those are still useful coverage on Scizor, so it's not like it's a waste of a move slot or anything. So Scyther gets Technician boosted Aerial Ace, and that becomes 83 base power, and it's +2 priority. So that's insane. That's essentially just extreme speed, but slightly stronger and flying type. That's really good, Technician. And then you have, and obviously you have a great speed stat, so you don't need that necessarily, but it's still useful. And then you have, oh sorry, that's not Scyther specific. Another Scyther specific thing is a dual wing beat. Also Acrobatics, technically, because Acrobatics is 50 base power and it becomes 75 with a Violate. So you can run Technician of Violate Scyther. Say you catch your Scyther and you don't teach Aerial Ace because you need your move slots, but then you get into a fight where it's like, shit, I need a Flying Stab. Acrobatics is your only other option besides Aerial Ace until you get Dual Wing Beat. And that's great because it's 75 base power at worst, which is solid, okay. And then if you're not running a Violate for some reason, I don't know why you wouldn't, then it's 100 base power, but I would mostly just recommend a Violate. Get 75 base power on it. I guess if you get it knocked off, you could get a really strong. Nope, sorry, it doesn't work that way. Never mind. I was misguided for a second. So that's just really strong on Scyther. Why is it lagging so much? Really strong on Scyther, but the main technician thing that Scyther can do that Scizor technically can't do is dual wing beat. And dual wing beat it was a really powerful technician, but now it's 100% accurate, 45 base power per hit, and it has an overall 28% chance to flinch. I've covered the math for that in a couple other videos, so I'm not going to waste your time covering it again. But trust me, I know the math. It's 28% overall, about 27 to 28. So that's a great. I mean, it's almost 30% flinch rate, and that is 100% accurate, and that is, I believe it's 135 overall, right? Times 2 for 2 hits. 135. Yep. 135 base power flying move with literally no drawbacks. You're hitting twice. You're bypassing color berries. You're bypassing sturdy. You're bypassing multi-scale. You're bypassing energy shield. You're bypassing focus sash. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's so good. Dual wing being on Scyther, amazing, truly amazing. And that works great with all the setup. That works great as in general. And then in my transition to Scizor, I will talk about another double hit move they have that is technician boosted. Specifically double hit, because they have other moves that hit multiple times, but specifically double hitting move is bug biting, which is a mod of bug bite that I did just because bug bite's animation looks weak as fuck, and so I couldn't just buff bug bite to 70, and so I think getting multiple hits and being technician boosted is really cool for it. Especially because a lot of bugs are technician, so that was pretty dope. And bug biting with technician is extremely powerful, and it's not even late game like the other technician type moves, or in terms of being over 100 base power and technician together. It's not late game because it's a tutor move, so you can literally get that from the beginning, and that's really powerful. Also, something I feigned to mention in a couple of the bug change guides is the bug type buffs. So bug coverage is now neutral on Fairy Ghost and Fighting, and that's huge because a lot of dual type Pokemon are now weak to bug, and you can also just click your bug stab much more reliably. It's really, really useful for them, so that's really great. Not super relevant Scyther because it has dual stab that hits all of those types anyways, but for other mons it's more relevant. And also, it's still useful. So bug biting becomes 105 base power because it's 70 times 1. Yeah, I'll just show you guys for proof if you don't believe my math. It's 105. And that also has the same benefit. This is a shit remix, dude. What is this? Sorry, that was pretty harsh, but I didn't like that. I couldn't figure out any thematically fitting music that I didn't care enough to put like specific themes for them because there's nothing that jumped out, so I just put in Kanto remix. Either way, I hopefully got. Oh god, am I recording? I always get like paranoid that I'm recording or not. I am. Okay, good. So yeah, I lost my save a lot. Oh yeah, bug biting and dual wing beat, dual stab, Scyther, double hit moves. Those are great. Otherwise, you have other stab options for technician, and this is also for Scizor. Although they're all for Scizor, but specific to Scyther is nothing. But I already covered the flying moves, so now you have your bug stabs, technician boosted. So I'll talk about bug stab, technician. You have bug biting. You have creeping strike, which is 75 base power overall priority. Really useful. Just good, strong priority movement. Very strong. That's great. And then you have, and that works on Scizor, obviously. This works on both of them. And then you have Fury Cutter, which I nerfed because I don't like the brainless aspect of these moves. And also with buffed Metronome, it would be kind of fucking ridiculous. I'm just not a fan of these moves. I also don't see why Rollout and Ice Ball have to suck when Fury Cutter was actually a pretty good move in game. Like, especially for like the vanilla games, like you can literally just sweep entire teams with Fury Cutter. And I also was kind of worried about Fury Cutter and Tinted Lens if I kept it unnerfed. So I had to nerf it, man. I'm sorry. And it gets plus 40. Oh wait, that's Echo Voice. Sorry, it gets double power. So first hit with Fury Cutter is 45. Second hit is 90 overall, I believe, if the math works the way I think it does, where it applies the double first and then the technician after, which it should. So that's great. And then you're hitting for, so basically with Technician Fury Cutter, you have 90% chance accuracy, which is fair. And then you have 45 base power first turn, which is fine. It's not great, but it's fine, especially early game. It's fine. And then you have 90, which is good. And then you get 180. Sorry, I was wrong. Then you get 120 because it doesn't apply Technician anymore. Then you get 240 or whatever the fuck. I think the max of Fury Cut is 200 or 250, so I believe you would max out at 200. And that's 4 turns, so Fury Cut is great still. Despite the nerf, it's still great. It's not really a nerf. I mean, it's a nerf, but it's not like a significant one for the point where you would never want to use it. I just don't like how brainless it was, and so I don't want to encourage that. But it's great on tech mons. It is basically tinted lens and technician mons can really abuse it nicely. Gotta go all the way back down now. Sorry. Other bug type moves you have a technician. The super relevant ones are, actually the last relevant one rather. So you have bug biting, creeping strike, Fury Cutter, and First Impression. And First Impression, I specifically made Crit Move and 60 base power, specifically for Technician and Hustle and Ruthless. So all three of those abilities benefit greatly from First Impression. First Impression changes, so and also the fact that it's TM. But basically what this is now is with Technician sets, it's 135 base power, and with Ruthless Scizor, it's also 135 base power. So both Ruthless and Technician Scizor get 135 base power First Impression, which is, that's great, man. Super great. Obviously, you can only use it on the first turn, but I mean, it's a TM, so you can just slap it on and off. If you need to fucking nuke something, then you nuke something. Very useful move. I gotta go back down again. Sorry, I don't know why it does that. It's so annoying. It's Control F, shit, man. Anyways, otherwise, that's it for Bug Stab. That's it for Flying Step Technician. After that, you have Steel Stab, which is exclusive to Scizor. However, Scyther still gets Technician boosted Steel moves as coverage, although, I mean, Steel is not the greatest coverage. It's decent for Scyther because, you know, it hits fairies and it hits rocks and ice, both of which it's weak to. The latter two it's weak to. But it has fighting moves for that, so it's not really super relevant, but it's useful situationally. So Meta Claw is 90 base power on both, but I would recommend just using Vice Grip on... I mean, I guess you could use like Ruthless 50% crit chance, but that's not really consistent. I would rather just use Technician with Vice Grip and Bullet Punch. So yeah, basically my point was Scyther has Metal Claw still, and also Laceration, which is not Technician boosted, but I'm talking about Technician now, so ignore Laceration, that's for Ruthless. But Scyther exclusively has Bullet Punch and Vice Grip, and Bullet Punch becomes 68 base power. If I could load the page. Oh, actually, sorry, no, 75. I buffed it. I remember now. Yeah, because Steel's not. Yeah, I remember why. So that's dual stab, 75 is power, priority moves, and then it has First Impression as well. So that's excellent. And then Aerial Ace for coverage on Scizor. If you want all priority moves for some reason, I don't know why. I mean, 95 speed's good. Scarf, but you know, it's not winning any awards. Not super fast. Sorry, I got distracted. So yeah, that's Steel Stab. Also, Vice Grip is great for a Technician. That becomes 90 base power, and you get the trapping effect and a trap. So if they use Vice Grip against you, that's insane because they trap you in battle. And that last 6 turns guaranteed. There's no RNG involved. You know exactly how long it's going to last, how much damage you're going to get. And each turn, you deal 12%. So essentially, it's a 90 base power move that traps, and also you get the 12% residual damage each turn. If you run that with like Protect or something, you're getting, you're racking up damage. It's 24% in 2 turns. That's 1/4 of their health almost. So it's very underrated, very underrated. I really like what I did with the trapping moves. They're very strong, especially with Technician. And so that's really cool. That's about all the Technician stuff for Stab on the 3 of them. And as for Technician boosted coverage, they have, by level up, they have normal stuff early on, Quick Attack Cut, which is 60 and 45 respectively. Or actually, maybe Quick Attack is 50, I forget. I've been changing these around. Yeah, Quick Attack's 50, so that's good. So you get good normal stab there, sure. Not normal stab, but normal coverage. I wouldn't even say coverage, but it's neutral moves. But the main allure, oh god, man, it's so stupid. I need to just remove the Control F thing when I go to the next tab. Technician coverage. So fighting coverage, you have Karate Chop, Technician boosted. Low Kick is technically Technician boosted as well because early game, a lot of your hits, basically, Low Kick is now at minimum 60 base power when you're using on a 40 base power mon, and then the 60 base power Low Kick becomes 90 base power. So Low Kick is much better as well with Technician on both of them, and that's also really useful coverage, and it lowers their speed by 1. So on Scizor especially, it's great. And it's also a tutor move, so you don't have to worry about anything else. But then you also have Power Punch on Scizor. That's another thing I didn't cover, crap. Scizor gets the punches, besides Fire Punch, obviously, purely because he gets Bullet Punch, and so I just applied that logic to Thunder Punch and Ice Punch and Shadow Punch and Seismic Fist and all this other stuff. And they also get rock moves just because I feel like he should get rock moves, but Scyther obviously should not be able to use them because, yeah. But yeah, I'll get into those in a second because a lot of those are Technician boosted. But fighting type Technician moves, you have Karate Chop, which is 90 base power, Power Punch, which is 75, and you get +1 attack. Pummel is a multi-hit move, so it's 25 base power per hit. So that's on average, that's at minimum, it's 75 base power. At max, is 188 base power. Super strong. That's it for Technician fighting type moves. And then you have Technician boosted Dark type moves and Knockoff and Fury Swipes. Fury Swipes is the same thing as Pummel. Knockoff is consistently 90 base power because when you knock off the item, it becomes 90. And then with Technician, when it doesn't have an item, it becomes 90 anyways because I quote unquote nerfed it to 60, which is a nerf to other mons, so Knockoff isn't just spammable, but on Technician mons it's a buff because, yeah. Super useful. And that's about it for dark moves rather, on Technician sets. Obviously they have regular dark moves for Tough Claws on Scizor, because Ruthless Scizor is using Night Slash as their stab. Sorry, their dark coverage, but I'm getting ahead of myself again. Technician moves. False Strike is technically Technician boosted, although technically, it's funny. But you're mostly using False Strike for the boosting aspect, because you're getting +1 accuracy, +1 attack, which is really useful for stuff like Wicked Blow and Crab Hammer, and it's also really useful for like Stone Edge and Gunk Shot and other. I mean, Gunk Shot's not the greatest coverage because it's Steel type already, but yeah, you guys get the idea, right? And then you have other coverage moves. Again, you have dual wing beat on Scizor, still good coverage. Same with Aerial Ace. I think that's it for Technician. I lied. That is not it for Technician. You also have access to Rock Tomb, which is 90 base power with Technician. Rock Slide is 95 base power, but it has a 5% chance to miss, and you get a flinch effect as opposed to the guaranteed speed drop. So I would say Rock Tomb Technician is better than Rock Slide, despite the power difference in most cases. Iron Head is only really good on Mega Scizor with Tough Claws. Otherwise, you're just going to be running Technician moves or Ruthless moves on Scizor. I mean, flinch rate is good, but yeah. So that's really useful. And then you have Power Punch, like I said already. That's all the Technician stuff. Great. We covered everything for Technician, I believe. I hope I'm not missing anything. Let me skim through one more time. I said Acrobatics already. Yeah, that's about everything. Super great. And then you will be getting yeah, that's everything. Just making sure. Sorry, y'all. You have Ruthless on Scizor, and when you slap, basically what that is like I showed you guys, it's Sniper. Okay, so you're getting a huge 2.25x boost to your crits, or not a boost to your crit, but your crits are doing 2.25x damage as opposed to 1.5. You get a 50% boost in your crit moves, all right? And these moves crit half the time. So if you throw on a Sculpt Lens, those 100% crit. So you have Laceration, X Scissor for dual stab. I'll go back to this. Sorry, it's loading. You have dual stab with Ruthless on Scizor, and Laceration and X Scissor, and you have Leaf Blade and Cross Chop and Cycle Cut and Mid Slash and Cross Poison for coverage for Ruthless Scizor with Sculpt Lens. Those are all great. And Ruthless Scizor can also run like Focus Energy, I guess, if you wanted to do that. I believe Z Focus Energy gives speed now, so you could totally run like a Z Focus Energy Scizor set with Ruthless, and yeah, gives you speed. So that bypasses taunt. So you can use Z Focus Energy on a taunt lead, get your +2 crit rate, get your +2 speed, and then you're killing shit. You know, with you can't run a Sculpt Lens, so you're only critting half the time. But you know, that's the price you pay for being inconsistent with Focus Energy. However, multi-hit moves will crit a lot, so that's really cool. So yeah, that's really awesome. I think also other setup moves give crit rate as well, but overall the best use of Ruthless is just to slap a Sculpt Lens on your mon. Or you could be a fucking loser and run Choice Band Ruthless or Life Orb Ruthless and be a fucking haxer and hack people to death like a loser. But don't do that. That's bad. That's bad manners, bro. Come on now. Don't be letting yourself deal literally under half of the damage half the time. Imagine if there's a move that did that. Imagine if fucking Earthquake half the time this is not a great analogy, but just imagine if at the time it did 40 base power like that. That's what you're doing, right? That's the risk you're taking. And yes, I understand the average base power is technically higher than like, okay, if you really want to do that route, I'll entertain the idea, all right? I'll entertain the inconsistent Ruthless spam. Let me do the math. So 70 base power moves, right? All of those moves are 70 base power. So you're doing +70 divided by 2. That's the average base power. So you're on average hitting for 113. But that's the thing, it's on average. So if you're fighting a mon that you need to crit to kill and you don't get the 50% crit, don't come crying to me. That's all I'm going to say. All right, it's really inconsistent. But yes, it's very powerful because if you ran Choice Band on this, you get the 1.5 boost. On average, you're hitting for 170 base power. On average, it's inconsistent. That's the issue. Versus regular Ruthless is 70 times 2.25 is 157, 158. So pretty hefty power difference there with Choice Band. Although Choice Band, I mean, you're not. The issue with Choice Band is you're locked into the move. So actually, I'll do this with Life Orb instead. 113.75 times 1.3 is weaker. So there you go. There's your answer. Don't use that unless you want to be a loser. I don't know. If you need it for the KO and like you want to 50-50 it, go ahead. That being said, You've got Slash as well for neutral covers earlier for Ruthless stuff, so that's cool. Again, like I said, Leaf Blade, all these great moves: Leaf Blade, Cross Chop, Grass, Fighting, Psychic, Dark, Poison, and then Dual Stab for Ruthless on Scizor. And then at level 65, you get Wicked Blow, and then also First Impression, like I said, is Ruthless boosted, which is really useful, and that's just really useful. And then Wicked Blow at level 65 is a 10% chance to miss, but it's immensely powerful. Obviously, it's non-stab, but it's still really strong. You're hitting 180 base power overall because it's 120 base power with the crit. Oh, I'm not doing the math right. I lied. It's 80 times 2.25. No, I was right. Yeah, 180 base power. Okay. So yeah, 180 base power, which is like Z move level for free. Well, 10% miss chance, but yeah, which is pretty hefty. And on Nuzlocke, I would not recommend risking that a lot of the times unless you know that if you miss, it's not a big deal. Excuse me. Or you can just use like Smart Strike or False Strike to boost your accuracy with alternatively or Home Claws. Although I wouldn't recommend that necessarily unless you have to. You got a lot of cool options, man. Like I said, Ruthless with First Impression is really strong, and Technician, and I think that's it for Ruthless stuff. Like I said, oh, and the beauty of Ruthless as well, I forgot to mention. The beauty of Ruthless is that it bypasses stat drops as well, personal stat drops. So for example, if you're running post game and you got access to the Superpower Tutor, because everything will forward close, everything after, I'll let me just show you guys. At a certain point, I couldn't put close combat. Sorry, I can't speak, man. I couldn't put Superpower early because it's really strong now because it's 150 base power minus 2 attack move. So this is all pre Totem Coma O, and then this is all post game. So you there's a big gap here between the moves. So Superpower is late, but post game you can run like a Superpower reset, get the minus 2 attack drop, and then you can crit through it. And you can just click crit moves after that. But the more practical application is basically that. That basically means that Ruthless Scizor essentially has Hypercutter, unless the Mon that is dropping your attack has Battle Armor, or there's a Lucky Chant up or something that prevents crits. Otherwise, it essentially has Hypercutter in the sense that crits, so it bypasses stat drops. So you can't Intimidate it, you can't Battle Cry it, you can't Charm it, you can't Tickle it. It doesn't give a fuck about any of that. It'll kill you anyway, which makes it really hard to play against. Not hard, but it makes it much more limited to play against. You really gotta either kill it, outspeed it, or take the hit with something. But I mean, it's easy, man. If you know what you're doing, you can just counter everything. Just slap on a fucking berry and use a fire move on it. You'll be fine. But of course, in the 6v6, you'll get worn down. Your counter to Scizor might get crit or something, or you got hacks, and now you're fucked. But that's the game you're playing. So, what are they sending? Okay, sorry, hold on. Yeah, my friend messaged me. So, okay, I'm gonna make this full screen by the monitor so I don't get distracted anymore. Also, U-turn's great. It's not boosted by any of the abilities, although Tough Claws it is. So yeah, let me actually get into that now. I think I covered everything with Ruthless. Like I said, the advantage is also that you're immune to attack drops, and also you bypass stat boost on the opponent. So any boosting move on the opponent is just completely Iron Defense, nope. Barrier, nope. Coil, nope. Walk up, nope. You just hit through it, which is really strong. And Totem Pokemon, which have stat boosts, get ignored as well. So that's all really great. That out of the way, now we get to about Mega Scizor. So like I said, 95 speed tier, you can use it with a Scarf. You can just use your priority move and not care. 95 is good on its own anyways. You can use it with Agility. You can use it with Hyper Speed, which gives +3 speed, which is really useful. +3 speed. Let me actually do the math. 95 base speed. Let's give you a hypothetical, right? I'll give you a hypothetical. So you got a Scizor, right? And you got a brave natured Scizor, and you're zero IV brave natured Scizor. That's what you're hitting at +3 speed after hyper speed. So you guys get the idea. You don't give a fuck about the speed drop. Like that's minimum speed Scizor versus like let's say a neutral speed nature and no investment. You're outspitting everything. So really useful on Scizor. Can I open this up again? Thank you. What was I saying? Mega Scizor, yeah, Mega Scizor time. Also, Leaf Blade was bugging me. I didn't plan on giving them Leaf Blade, but I really wanted Leaf Blade on Scyther because it fits really well. But I guess Scyther will get to it by association. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the most like big reach in the world. Honestly, it's fine. It's just a little bit odd. Then Mega Scizor is insane. It's not immediately. It's not guaranteed to be better than Scizor in most cases, but because again, the way I've designed Megas is so that there's a lot of Megas where either the pre-Mega could be considered better, with items, or the other way around. Most likely the other way around, and especially for a lot of shit mons. And so I've designed it so that every single mega is completely viable, and there will be situations where the pre-mega is just genuinely better for that situation if you're considering all your options and your item slot and your abilities and your moves and all that, your typing and whatever, case by case. But point is, Mega Scizor isn't immediately better than Scizor, but it's definitely better in a lot of cases, and I made sure that it's stronger with Tough Claws than Ruthless, a Technician, technically. If you're running Choice Band Ruthless, I believe base Scizor hits harder than Mega Scizor, but that's Choice Band, and you're restricting yourself to whatever. I think I did a math on Life Orb. Somebody else can check for me, again, to check my math, but I believe that Life Orb is the same thing. And another thing is that these abilities are very powerful, but they technically limit your moves, although I made it sure that they have everything they need with Technician and Ruthless anyways, and Technician here as well, especially on Scizor. But Tough Claws Mega Scizor can use the punches and get a boost on it. It can literally, there is like 5 moves that doesn't get fucking boosted by Tough Claws. It's let me actually just list them off literally right now. It's nothing. Solar Blade, I believe, does not get boosted anymore. I forget if I made it Contact or not. I know it used to be Contact. Rock Tomb and Rock Slide and Stone Edge. That's like all of the relevant moves in your entire fucking move pool that are not Tough Claws boosted. Everything else is Tough Claws. And Gunk Shot, which, I mean, you're not running that. It's just there for flavor. And also, I mean, it's not like you're not running it. There are mons that are 4 times weak to poison. It'll be useful for specific fights, but overall, you're not going to run it most of the time. Poison Jab is right there anyways if you need it. If you need, or Cross Poison. So, yeah. Tough Claws is super powerful with 165 attack. It's a Life Orb boost for free on all of its moves almost, so that's really great. That ensures that base Scizor does not inherently outclass it. Inherently, of course, because Mega takes up an item slot. So you can either run Tough Claws for the immense power, or with Intimidate, you're technically weaker than base Scizor, although not really if you really consider everything. But you get Intimidate utility, which is immense because you have Bug Steel typings, you only have 1 weakness, and you have 150 base defense now, slightly buffed. Less split F though, because I did have to kind of give them some limiting factors, and I also felt like the split F was just too high. So you can hit them with a strong position and they'll just drop. And the 100 base speed is not like insane. Like you can outspeed that pretty easily, especially with just a Scarf, or just store a Scarf on a fucking fire move and it's dead, man. Literally any special fire move that's like relatively strong with a Scarf on any mon that has like 50 base speed or above will fucking one-shot this as well. Obviously you have to revenge kill it, but my point is you won't get swept unless you did not plan properly. You won't get swept by it, period. That doesn't make it bad though. Oh, that's another thing Scizor can run. What's the berry called? Aqua Berry. So Mega Scizor cannot, but again, Mega Scizor is great. Intimidate is great. 70, 150, 80 bulk. Bug Steel typing and Intimidate is super bulky. 100 base speed is slightly faster. That's a much more important speed tier to hit. That's actually like a really good speed tier for considering how bulky it is. Another disadvantage is that Mega Scizor cannot run Assault Vest while base Scizor can, and base Scizor really likes Assault Vest. Another thing that I thought was cool about their stats is that it gets plus 40 defense when it evolves and then minus 40 speed. It's pretty cool. Just kind of like real Scizor and real Scyther, only... Actually, no, it's the exact same. No, sorry, it gets plus 20 attack, plus 20 defense. Yeah, so they split it up. It's plus 20, plus 20, plus 40. So I changed it to just plus 40, plus 40. That's what I did. I remember now, which is much more logical in my opinion, because I think them having the same attack. I mean, yeah, I could have made Scyther, like Scyther, anything from 115 to 125 fits Scyther. Anything from 120 to 130 fits Scizor. So it's not really, like, there's a 5 stat difference at most. I don't think anything. I think equal stats are fine, and it's cool. And it also makes the two much more viable compared to each other. Excuse me. Like I said, Crab Hammer. Oh, Crab Hammer on Tough Claws is insane. 130 base power, always drops. Defense, super strong. Super strong. Only downside is the accuracy. And that's at level 70, so you're only having that for the league and post game for the most part. And then also, like, Gladion and maybe Hapu, if you're lucky. If you overlevel, you can get it, but that's lame. Don't overlevel, kids. Also, you'll have Leaf Blade and other shit for Hapu anyways. Leaf Blade and Solar Blade. Can I go back to this? Thank you. So yeah, like I said, you got bulk up and Swords Dance for setup already. I already covered that with Scyther. Same thing about Scizor, only no speed booster, and they're amazing, bulky, about light bullshit. God, Scyther's so cool. Excuse me. Also, Laser Focus with Ruthless is technically not bad. Theoretically, you could use like Laser Focus Z move plus 2 speed, and then like, I don't know. I guess if you deleted Focus Energy, which you probably would have, or by now, then you can do the same, achieve a similar effect with Laser Focus. In fact, it's actually guaranteed, so it's technically more consistent if you want to nuke something. But a little bit niche. Oh, Oh, I almost forgot, guys. Fucking. Okay, this is a good place to end it on because I think I covered about everything else. Dive Bomb is good stab on Scyther. Not boosted by Technician, but like it's just usable solid stab on like speed boost sets. Because without speed boost, yeah, okay, so two things I missed. I just saw them. Two things I glossed over. Also, E-Speed. It's not even that good. It's really not that good on them. I just did it for flavor. It's good. Don't get me wrong, especially on like Mega Scizor because it's Tough Claws boosted. It's good on Mega Scizor, but otherwise it's meh. On like base Scizor and Scyther, it's meh. It's not really great. Mega Scizor is good because I believe Tough Claws. Creeping Strike and Creeping Strike and Bullet Punch are 5 base power lower than Extreme Speed, and also Extreme Speed is +3 priority versus a +1 priority on those two moves. So it's higher priority and slightly stronger, but you're still getting super effective damage. So I still would say it's kind of but it's good. It's still good. Like SDE speed, Tough Claws or Intimidate is good, of course. Also, I lied. I was doing the Math of Technician for the 50 base power dual stab. So you're actually, yeah, E-Speed is significantly stronger on Mega Scizor. So E-Speed is mostly for Mega Scizor only, but usable on Mega Scizor. All right, now I can go to 2 things I missed, and I'll leave off with those ones because those 2 are pretty fucking big. Well, also, Tough Claws Lunge. You have tons of great coverage with Tough Claws. Basically, you have everything you could ever want for the most part on Tough Claws Mega Scizor. That's the best part of it, is that it's so not limiting. Like, you're not limited to tech moves or ruthless moves. Not that those are overly limiting, but just having the complete freedom is a big deal. Like on U-turn and shit, and on the punches, like I said. So I don't want to repeat the same point over and over again. But the major things I missed. So I'll do them in order of how good they are. The first thing that I missed is kind of niche, but it's still cool. Is Sky Attack. So what that is, it's mostly usable on Scizor, believe it or not. So Scyther gets stab on it, so it's still good. But the thing with Sky Attack is, it's 2-turn move, 120 base power, but it always crits, so it's 180 base power, and it ignores stat drops and stat boosts and all that crap. It's really strong, and it has a 30% flinch rate. So it's just really strong, and it's a tutor move, so you can just slap it on when you need it. So like Power Herb Scizor is good with Sky Attack. It's really good at the Sky Attack. It's a really strong move. With Ruthless, it's fucking insane how strong it is. Let me actually do the math. 270 base power, flying type. So there you go. Although 2 dual wing beats is the Technician is stronger, but in 1 turn with Power Herb, it's good. So it's niche, but it's there. It's there as an option for sure. The flinch rate is good too. But the main thing, the big thing that all 3 of them are going to use, guys. This is a huge thing. I don't know how I missed this. So hopefully you listened this far. I really hope you guys did for this, because I hope it sucks that I glossed over it. Because this change is actually a relatively recent one, so people might not know what I did with Steel Wing. But Steel Wing, guys, Steel Wing, this is the last thing I want to cover. Steel Wing, 60 base power, +1 defense, and it's a TM, and it's early. Relatively early, compared to like Vice Grip and all that. It's earlier than Vice Grip and all that stuff. So Scyther, with the Violite bullshit I was talking about earlier with the speed boost, just slap English, man. Slap Steel Wing. Say that 5 times fast, bro. Slap Steel Wing on it. Then you get the defense boost, which is great. But on Scizor, it's Technician boosted, and it's well, yeah, like I said, it's also Technician boosted on Scyther. God, I talk fast. Scyther. So it's either Technician +1 defense, which is good with the Violite. I mean, even with no investment, it's going to be taking hits at +1 defense with the Violite. Really, a lot of hits, actually. I will do the math really quickly. 80 with neutral, no investment. At +1 with the Violite, 294. 294 times 1.5, because it's not a +2 boost, it's another stack of 1.5. 441 defense after using 1 Steel Wing, and it's good coverage for fairies and rocks and ice. So that's good. But the beautiful thing is on Scizor, man, Technician Steel Wing Scizor is amazing, as it should be. Like, you got Bullet Punch and Vice Grip and shit. Of course, Vice Grip is great, but Steel Wing is amazing. The +1 defense is huge. You can run Assault Vest. Technician Scizor with Steel Wing, and then there you go. You're getting your bulk. You're boosting up your defense. You got the max Spadef. You can run max attack and max Spadef with Assault Vest and swallow special hits, and then run Technician Steel Wing and get your defense boosted. So really good there. That's about it. I just wanted to cover that quickly because I forgot about it, and it's a big deal. And then you have all this great stuff for Mega Scizor. And Scizor will be pretty late game, because I understand that Mega Scizor is really strong, so it'll be pretty late game, don't worry. Relatively late game, rather. And again, another thing I want to cover is that they are not overpowered. I promise you they are not. they all have 4 times weaknesses. Not to say that a 4 times weakness instantly makes them on shit. I mean, come on, guys. Lando and Garchomp like have dominated OU and even Ubers for generations since they got released. So I'm not trying to make that claim at all. But in game, especially, so here's my thing: use personal usage wise, yeah, I guess they're really good, but everything is. So just use whatever the fuck you like, or just do a Nuzlocke and use whatever you get. So that is not an issue. In terms of the AI, it's not overpowered. Simply, it's just not, because you can just counter them with your items and your abilities and your moves. And like I said earlier, even just a fucking base 50 Scarfmon with a strong fire move will kill Scizor. Like, you'll be fine, dude. Easier said than done. Obviously, I'm oversimplifying a little bit because I don't want to go on tangents more than I already do. That's about everything, y'all. I've covered everything. Really in depth, really cool. I like these ones a lot. Super fun. Thanks for listening, y'all.